Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to the Automobile Conclave of Amalthea' 2012. Firstly, I would like to invite our Director Sir, Shri Sudhir Jain, on the dais to speak a few words. Thank you.
Mr. Sahu, the Principal Secretary, Industries, Government of Gujarat, Mr. Vinnie Mehta, the Executive Director of the Automobile Components Manufacturers Association, distinguished guests, visitors, students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third edition of Amalthea'. In the year 2010, the IIT Gandhinagar students started this series of prosperity through technology. And for last 3 years, they have been organizing a major event of this kind on a different theme every year. The first being on the renewable energy, the second being on the infrastructure, and third one starting today on automobiles. An institute such as ours takes great pride in producing the future leaders for the country, and our main effort has been that our students, the best in the country, must show the leadership, show the initiative, and make us and make the country proud. For an institute which is only 4 years old, we have just graduated the first batch of students. The kind of output that we are seeing, the kind of students that we seem to have graduated a few months back, makes us feel that something is right that is happening here at IIT Gandhinagar. The kind of leadership qualities that I'm seeing, the initiative that I'm seeing, the organization that you are seeing here today, it has been absolutely student driven. There has been no faculty advisor or there has been no faculty engagement in organizing this event. It is the students who have been going around inviting the exhibition participants, inviting the speakers, raising some money, organizing infrastructure such as the dome that you are sitting in, because we do not yet have our own large conferencing facility. And it makes me feel very proud that at a very young age, these students are able to do what I certainly would not have been able to do when I was their age. And I feel tremendous pride in the student body. The event started as a student activity. When they came to us and said we would like to do that, with certain amount of hesitation, we said yes, go ahead and do it. At a certain age, the young people always have a disadvantage that we older people underestimate them. We doubt their capability and we think that they are only as smart as we were when we were their age. They normally prove us wrong. We indulged them at that point of time. We said, okay, they want to do it, let them do it. If we don't allow them to do it, it will be discouraging to them. But they have certainly proved us wrong. This event has enabled us over the last 3 years not only to have our students sharpen their organizational skills, sharpen their leadership, but also, very interestingly, the kind of visitors, the kind of distinguished people that they have been able to bring to this institute has been absolutely amazing. A good example is the two main guests today, Mr. Sahu, the Principal Secretary Industries. Despite how busy he has been to all 3 Amaltheas that we have organized. And Sahu Sahab, we are extremely grateful to you for supporting the students. In fact, first time the students went to his office, they came all very excited. They said, he was so nice to us and he sent us to Mr. XYZ asking that gentleman to give some money to the students and he has promised to come here. So Mr. Sahu has been very, very supportive of this event, and event like this enables us to bring prominent bureaucrat, policymaker to our campus, and we are very grateful. Mr. Mehta, who handles a very, very important industry today, the automobile industry. Again, if we had tried to get Mr. Mehta to IIT Gandhinagar for a talk, it would not have been so easy. But thanks to the student activities, we have him today. And these are only 2 examples. There are many, many more very distinguished visitors who have been coming to previous Amaltheas and will be coming to this Amalthea'. And that has been a great contribution of the student body to the eminence that IIT Gandhinagar wishes to achieve. I must also say a word of appreciation for the different organizations in around Ahmedabad who have been very indulgent towards the students, offering them financial support, offering them encouragement. And you can see this whole big poster with lots of logos and companies' names, and they all have been very supportive. And this is really the spirit of a school like us, that we are really working with the future generations, future leadership of India, and they don't belong only to IIT Gandhinagar, they belong to the whole country. And it is very befitting that the society, the industry, the organizations around, they have been so supportive of us. Having said something about automobile conclave that we are starting today, I must say that this idea of automobile engineering came from Mr. Sahu when he came in December 2011 to IIT for what we do an annual brainstorming event of where IIT Gandhinagar should be doing, what we are doing right, what we need to change. And again, he has been attending each one of those events. And last year when he came, he said, why don't you guys think of automobile engineering with the kind of hub that Gujarat is evolving into? And that was a suggestion that faculty as well as the students took very well. While the students chose that as a theme of today's Amalthea', the faculty is working very aggressively, I would say, to work automobile engineering as a significant specialization in IIT Gandhinagar. We right now are considering a proposal faculty has prepared on a minor in automobile engineering, which will mean that a student would get a degree in mechanical or electrical or whatever, chemical engineering, and his degree would say that he also did a minor in automobile engineering. That is a proposal that is under consideration with various committees at this point of time. The faculty is also working closely with some of the automobile companies. In fact, they have been visiting some of the R&D type of organizations of automobile engineering to engage the industry personnel, to understand what they think and see how we can work together with them. Just before coming here, Mr. Vinnie Mehta was saying that there has been a lot of discussion about academics and industry talking at each other, very rarely talking to each other. Not enough collaboration is taking place, and we being a small school, we would like to change that. We would like to walk our talk. We would like to actually collaborate and work closely with the industry. And I know one or two of my colleagues have been to R&D center of Tata Motors a couple of times. I personally myself have had a colleague go with me to the vice chairman of Tata Motors to discuss the possibilities. So we are very hopeful that by the time the next December meeting, Mr. Sahu, you will come, we will have something more solid to say. And by the time you come back, we meet you in the Vibrant Gujarat event like last year, you would be able to say that yes, IIT Gandhinagar actually did what they discussed with you. Thank you very much for being here today. I would not take more time. This is really the event of the students. I keep getting a chance to talk to all of you, but I have two very distinguished speakers today, and I would like more time to go to them. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Our first distinguished speaker for the morning would be Shri Maheshwar Sahu. Shri Sahu is currently working as Principal Secretary, Industries and Mines, Government of Gujarat. He has served in numerous important positions, including as Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Gujarat Industrial Development Corporation, Gandhinagar, and as Additional Chief Executive Officer of Gujarat State Disaster Management Authority. Shri Sahu played a key role in highly acclaimed reconstruction and rehabilitation program after the 2001 Bhuj earthquake in Gujarat. After a brief stint in the Ministry of Environment and Forest as Joint Secretary, he took up a UN assignment as Director of an International Technology Center. I would like to invite him to the dais. Thank you.
My dear friend and esteemed colleague, Dr. Jain, and Executive Director of ECMA, and who is also a dear friend, Vinnie, Mehta, distinguished guests, and the worthy students of IIT Gandhinagar. I am very happy to be here today amongst all of you for this automobile enclave, because this sector is very close to us and we are emphasizing on the growth of this sector in a big way. I don't know, I have a presentation, so would you like a presentation or just a dialogue with all of you? I think Vinnie is here, he will do justice in giving a profiling of the automobile sector in the country and where the country is heading in this automobile sector. I will only try to harp on few things. If you look at the manufacturing sector, which is the backbone of job creation, when I tell job creation, it is value-added job creation in the economy. In the country, this manufacturing sector contributes about 18% to the GDP, the gross domestic product. There had been a great, long, very heavy brainstorming, planning commission, experts of the automobile industry, academicians, all of them sat together. They have drawn out an action plan which sets the goal very clearly, that let us take this 18% of the share to 25% by the year 2025. What? Take it to 25% by the year 2025. Friends, because this sector has so much relevance to the job creation, they have put this target. Some people tell it ambitious target, some people tell it realistic target, and we in Gujarat, we call it a very realistic target because we are confident that we can contribute significantly to growth of this sector and contribute so that the national goal is achieved with much ease. How do you tell that? If you look at the manufacturing sector in Gujarat, it is as of now 26.7% of the gross state domestic product. 18%, here is 26.7%. We have announced that by 2017-18, we should try to take it to 32%. 2017-18. And possibly by 2025, it should be around 35 to 36%, because every 1% increase, it's a very high in terms of absolute values, because the base here is strong. Base in Gujarat, the industry base, manufacturing base is stronger compared to various states. Therefore, friends, I think with this quantum increase in the manufacturing share in Gujarat to the national manufacturing output will be the key in achieving the Government of India's target, and also the Gujarat's intention to create more opportunities for highly qualified people to have access to jobs here, good jobs. When you look at that, and possibly that should be possible when there is a proper ecosystem and where the demand is there. Otherwise, any sector will not grow if there are not proper demand in those sectors. Out of all sectors in the manufacturing, Gujarat has its name in chemicals, pharmaceuticals, even some engineering clusters, but our priority is now to this automobile and auto ancillary sector. When I talk about our priority in this sector, because we understand this can be a driver of the manufacturing sector in a big way. One job in any automobile industry, let's say Ford or Tata or Maruti, one job will give you about 11 jobs in other areas there, in auto ancillaries and other allied jobs. Therefore, this sector, government and all these policy makers, stakeholders here want that to be should be propelled in a big way. If you look at what is the target which has been set for the let me take only passenger cars. The passenger car production in the country today is about 3 to 3.5 million. 3 to 3.5 million. In the world, as of now, in passenger car and commercial vehicles, we are the sixth. We are the sixth market. There is concrete plans. Government of India, Planning Commission, all of them have said that we should look at doubling this by 2020. When you take doubling it, that means the passenger car production has to increase to 7 million, more than 7 million. And out of that, the increase of 3.5 to 4 million. And we are sure into this growth agenda of the government, the Gujarat will be able to contribute about 50%. So friends, and when we talk that we will be able to contribute about 50% to the growth of this automobile passenger car segment only, we do not talk it in the air, and there has to be a proper ecosystem so that this growth can be absorbed. There are two different things. You can give lot of food to somebody, but that man has to have capacity to absorb it. Therefore, the system should have the capacity to absorb it. So therefore, our focus has been that we should create the ecosystem in such a manner that the system will absorb this type of expansion in the capacity. We are fortunate, there are various clusters which are developing, and those clusters will propel this agenda of the government to have increase in some water. So around 50% of the increase can be absorbed here. So when I talk about the ecosystem, what do I mean that? By the ecosystem, I mean 4 or 5 important factors. If you look at the urbanization in Gujarat, it is one of the highest growth in the country. So there will be more money in the urban people to buy cars, the demand will increase. If you look at the availability of the critical inputs for the growth, any infrastructure inputs, I think we are at a very comfortable stage. If you look at the power of these people, Gujarat entrepreneurs, to absorb technology, anything you do, if you don't have the power to absorb technology, we cannot take it forward. I think the number of technology transfer agreements, what has been signed between Gujarat and other people, that is the highest in the country. So there is an appetite to take technology and assimilate it and put into the real field. Industry responsive manpower at the shop floor level. I am not talking at your level. I am talking about the real shop floor level, because they are the critical things. And there are concrete efforts to see that about 3 lakh industry responsive manpower to go to the shop floor, they are available by the year 2014-15, progressively. And the piggybacking on the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor with a good high level of connectivity between the port and dedicated freight corridor which will be passing through the Gujarat. All these enabling factors will help us in getting this 50% share in the automobile passenger car segment in the country. With that, there will be development of auto ancillaries and other things. So friends, in short, I could tell that. If one will tell me what is the summary of my things, what I have spoken so far, the opportunities for all of you is enormous here. Not at cutting edge level, but a higher end. Number one. Number two, the opportunities for the close collaboration between academic institutions and industry and the government is very bright here. Number three, the infrastructure and the other enabling environments are highly positive. Therefore, and you have rightly organized this program, this automobile enclave at the right time, and I am sure what our friend Mr. Jain told about the Center of Excellence in the area of automobile. There are thoughts processes which are in the process for setting up a Center of Excellence which can give more value to the students who are coming out of the institutions like IIT and all that after a bachelor's level degree, and so that they can go and apply their knowledge in a much better fashion and go to the field for setting up their own units. So when the future is bright, and I am sure these conclaves future is also bright, and I trust all of you will enjoy the deliberations here and take something from here. And I wish you all the best and in your endeavor, and wish that you come out and more set up new industries in Gujarat in a big way to help us in our growth process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to call our next speaker for the session. That's Mr. Vinnie Mehta. Mr. Vinnie Mehta is a new Executive Director of Automotive Component Manufacturers Association, that's ACMA, an electrical engineer from IT BHU, and an MBA from FMS University of Delhi. Mr. Mehta also holds a Master's in International Trade from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, IIFT. Notably, Mr. Mehta has been involved in the promotion of the information technology industry in India since 1992. While he has been involved in setting up a framework and adequate policies for the Indian IT industry, in his last role he was heading the Manufacturers Association for Information Technology, the apex body of IT industry in India. I would like him to speak a few words. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good morning to all of you. Maheshwar, Principal Secretary, Dr. Jain, Director, distinguished guests, and my dear students. It's always a pleasure for me to come and address students. I love that. And also, it's challenging. I have to be mentally prepared because students always ask interesting questions that we've never thought of. And I guess looking at you, I think of myself 25 years ago, and like all of you, I was actively involved in our institution. BHU at that point in time had this engineering festival called TechNext. I don't know whether it exists or not, but it was as vibrant as this, and my heartiest congratulations to the team that has put it together. I understand, I saw from what you did last year, it was fabulous, and I'm sure this is going to be very, very wonderful and probably better than that. Having said that, I'm here because Dada called and said, Vinnie, you have to be here. He's my friend, philosopher, guide. One phone call, he says, you jump, I jump. And thank you for having me here. And you did hear about his very illustrious resume that was read. But what was probably not mentioned and is that he has been key to bringing the telecom revolution in the country. He was our joint secretary for the telecommunication industry, and he in fact championed the manufacturing of cell phones in the country. So you must thank him for that little device that you have in your hand. It's courtesy him today because it's so ubiquitous. He got manufacturing, we got the prices lower, so there's a lot to thank him for this. And I must say something about you, Professor Jain. I asked a very innocuous question to a gentleman who came to pick me up, and I was asking because I hadn't heard much about the institution, to be very frank, and I asked, how's your director? And you know what he had to say about you? He said that I think about 2 years ago, his brother had a counseling at IIT Powai because he's now in IIT Roorkee, and he heard you speak there, and he's here because he found you so impressive. So it speaks so much about you, and I guess, when you have a great leader, I'm very confident the institution will flourish. Let me quickly walk you through. I have a presentation on the automotive. I come from the component industry, so maybe I'll be a little bit more biased towards the component industry. Not that, it's just that I know this much better than I know the entire automotive industry, but I will give you some nuggets about the automotive industry as well. And I do not know if you have a Q&A, but I'll be very happy to answer on the dais, off the dais, whatever you wish. So I think what Dada said, I think Gujarat is now coming up as a new hub for industrial development, and the entire automotive industry is today looking at Gujarat to come here, to set up a base here. But let me sort of give you a macro picture. I think the whole industrial development or the happening of an industry is so much dependent upon the state of the economy. In India, I would say the economy had been growing very, very robust for last, say, 10 odd years. We were growing at 8% per annum, somewhere like 7.5% on an average year on year. And, that sort of what fuels our economy is young people like you, the consumption that's happening, and that also fuels the automotive sector. So, as I said, it is the aspiration of the youth in India that's driving consumption, and so true for the automotive industry as well. We have 4 major hubs, actually 3 major hubs, the north, the south, the west. You see every major single OEM is present in the country. The eastern region was more historical. You have the Hindustan and the Tata Motors there, but most of the newer investments has happened in the rest of the country. And today we have Sanand, which is a new hub. So you have Tata Motors coming in here. You have Maruti, Ford, and several of the two-wheelers are now coming here. In terms of we have as an industry been very, very dominated by the Japanese. If you recall, it was about 25 odd years ago when Maruti Suzuki came into the country. This was in Gurgaon, and we also had a joint venture somewhere around that time frame between the Honda and the Hero Motors. So these two industries actually changed the landscape. Maruti Suzuki changed the landscape for the passenger cars, and Hero Honda changed the landscape for the two-wheeler industry. And because of coming of the Japanese, our culture in the automotive industry was very, very Japanese dominant. And say, if I were to compare something like in 2007, the proportion of the Japanese cars was around 58%, and today it's somewhat reduced to about 54%. And if you look at the later entrants, the Americans and the European, their proportion has grown. So today we have all sorts of OEMs from various countries, be they Japanese, be they Korean, be they our own homegrown companies, which is the Tatas and the Ashok Leylands, and of course the Americans and the Europeans there. Just to give you an insight into how the numbers are doing for the vehicle industry, for the passenger cars, we did about 3 million units in the year 11-12. Going forward, somewhere around 15-16, we think will be around 5 million units, and by 2020 will be something like a 10 million unit industry. Yes, indeed, this fiscal is somewhat tough because of the kind of macroeconomic situation that's there in the country and the globe. The growth this year may not be as vibrant, but considering the fact that, as I said, we have fire in our belly, there's aspirations of the people to own a car, we're very confident that we will absolutely get to these numbers by 2020. So the long-term India growth story remains intact. Very similarly, because there's a lot of infrastructure investment that's happening in the country that drives construction vehicles consumption. Again, because we've had a good run for the economy, the commercial vehicle sales did well. We're looking at somewhere like 1.5 million units of commercial vehicles by 2015 and somewhere like 2.5 million units by 2020. You'll be very interested to know that we are the world's second largest two-wheeler market, and Hero Motors now is the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturing company, and we did something like 16 million units of two-wheelers in 11-12, and this number should be something like 30 to 35 million units by 2020. And the two-wheeler guys are the major guys who would sort of shift from two-wheelers to eventually shift from two-wheelers to a pass car. And, that's a huge potential to be tapped. And also the tractor market, though it is growing. We are the world's largest tractor manufacturing country, though these are smaller tractors. In fact, overall, if I may say, India has already emerged as a hub for small vehicle manufacturing. You have smaller cars, you have sub-1 ton commercial vehicles, and so on and so forth. So a lot of traction. Looking at the component sector where I come from, we grow in tandem with the vehicle industry. If the vehicle industry grows well, we also are pretty robust. So 11-12, we did something like a 43.5 billion units. We make anything and everything under the hood. And by 2020, we think we'll be something like a $115 billion industry. This is the industry turnover. And we think going forward we'll be growing in the range of around 11%. Again, this year is going to be a little stressed, so for this year our projections are that we will grow in the range of 8 to 10%. What has been very, very interesting for us is that despite the global economic slowdown, our exports have continued and are continuing to do well. Last year we did something like 6.9 billion units, and going by 2020 we'll be something like a $30 billion in exports. And Europe happens to be our single largest partner in exports as well as in imports. I'll show that slide to you as well. Followed by North America. Asia, of course, Thailand is one of our largest partners. And what's very encouraging here is that maybe 10 years ago, most of our exports went to the aftermarket. So the aftermarket is the service market, the garage, what you see. And just about sort of now what we do is 80% of our exports go to the OEMs and the tier 1 companies. So the OEMs are the vehicle manufacturers, and tier 1s are the first layer of suppliers, the large suppliers. So this is sort of something like we're very proud about this. It stands testimony to the good quality of manufacturing that is happening today in the Indian component industry. As I said, our exports have been growing, and what is also very encouraging for us that a whole lot of the multinationals, apart from their operations in India, have set up what is called as their sourcing offices, the international procurement offices. We have today 30 international procurement offices of global OEMs as well as the tier 1s. They are listed here, and sort of you just name them, all the leading manufacturers, whether it's a BMW or a Caterpillar or a Ford, and similarly a Bosch or a Continental or a Dana or a Eaton. They're all present in India, and these guys actually sort of identify components that can be picked up from India and exported back to whichever region they wish to, and they're absolutely distinct and separate from the India operations for their firms. In terms of import, the industry has been growing, and of course so imports do to grow. We think by 2020 our imports will be $35 billion, and again this is an opportunity for us to indigenize. Europe is our very large partner for import, but a lot of import happened from Asia, mainly China, which is of a little concern to us at this time. Uh, Very broadly speaking, the automotive industry is favorite of the government, be it center or here of Gujarat. Of course, we do bring in a lot of jobs. The auto component industry today employs something like 2 million people, 1 million people in direct engagement, and another million would be in indirect engagement. And I think the overall automotive industry by 2025, that is the vehicles and the component guys, would be employing anywhere between 20 to 25 million people by 2020 or 2025, and that's a huge challenge for us to bridge the skill gap. There are a lot of efforts that are being done. I'm aware Mr. Sahu has also put in a huge program here. Like any other international industry, our policies are WTO compliant. There is 100% FDI permitted. Government gives you incentives for R&D. All in all, we enjoy a very robust policy environment, and that's helped for the growth of the industry. As I mentioned to you, I showed you a chart where we have vehicle manufacturers from every sort of continent in the world, in India, and very interestingly, we are very flexible to adapt to their systems. So not just systems in terms of process and practices, but also quality practices. And we have something like 12 Deming Awards in the auto component industry, and this is the highest number outside of Japan in the Deming space. Just about 2 days ago, two of our very eminent member companies, Rani and Lucas TVS, were awarded the Japan Quality Medal that takes the quality medal number to 4. So a lot of happening there. A lot of the industry today, whether it is automotive or non-automotive, I have highlighted some of the non-automotive here. A lot of them are setting up captive R&D in the country, and that's true for the automotive space as well. A lot of our people are also doing R&D, and Professor Jain just mentioned, we were having a chat at the ante room, and I mentioned to him that there's a huge need to collaborate between the industry and the academia. 2 days ago, I was with the Principal Scientific Advisor of the Government of India. He's also encouraging us to get into R&D. There is a lot of need for the industry as a whole to get into collaborative R&D. What I mean by collaborative R&D is that we need to spread our risks. So maybe we should use young people like you in the college, your laboratories. We should fund that research. Maybe there could be a tripartite agreement between the government, industry, and the academia, and we need to really look at, maybe begin with a pre-competitive research and see how we can commercialize it. And there's a lot of issue here, again, I'm not alleging here. When I was in my earlier avatar in the IT industry, we did a lot of, the Ministry of IT did a lot of funding for a lot of research, and they just remain proof of concepts, and we could never get into commercialization, and there's a lot of money down the drain, but we need to really move up to the next level and see how we make good use of the money that's spent by everybody. At the end of the day, we are not a very rich nation. Some of the challenges that are there for the industry is, of course, capital is a huge issue. Gaining access to capital is a huge issue. India has one of the highest interest rates, and our sector is largely small and medium enterprises, and that's a huge challenge. And when you are small, even access to technology is a huge issue, and that's why, again, I'm coming back, there's need for collaborative R&D here. I'm not getting into huge challenges on road, ports, power, but Gujarat is blessed. You have great infrastructure here, and you're seeing the coming of the industry. We have issues on availability of skilled manpower. We are working with the Automotive Skill Development Council. Hopefully we'll scale up and have a lot of people here. the industry gets very spread, it's like, when the industry becomes multi-locational, say Maruti moves out of Gurgaon and comes to Gujarat, the entire supplier base comes here, and as a result of which our managerial capacity gets spread, and that needs to be addressed. And of course, as I said, a lot needs to be done into R&D, because we as an industry are what's called as the build to print industry, and we would like to move to what's called art to part. So in conclusion, I guess India is a very, very vibrant economy. I would say that what you see today probably is a transient phenomena. We will spring back to whatever 7, 8, 10% of growth. And again, you would see the industry become very, very vibrant. We are confident we will be reaching our targets for 2020. And of course, there's a huge opportunity for the students to engage with us. Maybe even at the student stage, we can use you for, say, inexpensive research, if I may say so, and later on absorb you with us. So there we are, and I'm not getting too much into it. We are a 50-year-old institution, and I think we've done a lot for promotion of the industry, and I guess there we are. So thank you so much for having me, and I'd be very happy to engage with you. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you, sir. We would like to invite some questions from the audience if they have.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We would like to present memento to our distinguished speakers as a token of gratitude from IIT Gandhinagar. We are thankful to both of our speakers. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you. We are also thankful to our platinum sponsor Index B for the support to the event.